Asteroids was a favorite game of mine back in the 80s. We'd take a pocket full of quarters and GameMasters here, and we're going to check out the Rock of Bral as it appears in 5th edition. Surprisingly, there's actually very little information provided beyond the basics in this book. We're given about 6 pages worth of details, and that's about it. I mean, by comparison, the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons version saw a supplement that was about 175 pages long. And this brings to mind something. Actually, I'll return to that in a moment. The Rock of Bral's history, and I'm referring to the in-game history here as it's presented in 5th edition, not the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons history, is that the Rock of Bral has been around for about 170 years and started off as a pirate refuge, becoming a haven for unsavory folks. Merchants saw opportunity here, as did innkeepers, and a balance began to evolve, with Bral eventually becoming a main trade location for various spacefaring groups from various local systems as well as from distant systems found in the Astral Sea. As such, local laws are constantly in flux, with most citizens being put to police themselves. It is a market ripe with opportunity, and any mercenary will find almost instant employment, either as a private guard or simply as a contractor to help dish out revenge. The Rock of Bral is divided into 3 sections: the High City, Middle City, and Low City. There is a small section that details out those that run the Rock. Prince Andrew is a man of 44 years of age and attempts to maintain order in this otherwise wild west of an environment, and he has a host of mercenaries that are loyal to him. You also have the Underbarons. These are groups of thieves that, or thieves guilds rather, that operate throughout Bral and often compete against each other. Generally, the businesses in each area are under the protection of the Underbaron, so keep that in mind should you feel the urge to pilfer. Another person of great importance is, well, you. Yes, you, the viewer. I'd love to ask that if you're enjoying this video to please give that like button a thumbs up. Your kind action helps with the that almighty YouTube algorithm and lets me know to make more videos, and I just thank you kindly for your generosity. I'm going to bring the map up here to reference some of the other locations. With the Rock of Bral being a massive asteroid that is about 1 mile long, it has a gravity plane which allows it to have a top side and a bottom side. On the top side, we have the High City that is more lush with greenery, and we have Starhaven here on the upper right. Starhaven is also the highest point on the top side and is a massive palace where Prince Andrew resides. Lake Bral is the main water supply to the Rock's population, and in the event that the water is depleted, the local navy here on the Rock make an expedition to a nearby ice asteroid and bring it back. You'll also see this tiny inn that overlooks the lake called the Man of War. This is, simply put, a fancy inn and houses the finest restaurant on the asteroid, even demanding a strict dress code. Be aware, however, that weapons must be surrendered upon entering. Towards the top of the map is the Temple District, in which priests here, regardless of one's faith, will cast helpful spells in exchange for various donations, from gold to even valuable artwork. Spanning the more centralized area of Bral is the Middle City. Here in Middle City, you will find the Great Market, a chaotic twisting road of street vendors, performers, beggars, merchants, and of course, it is likely you will encounter various races many players have only ever heard of. Middle City also has a tavern called The Edge, where the people that live on Bral will frequent the Man of War. Visitors to the Rock of Bral are more likely to visit The Edge. Weapons are allowed within. Gaspar's Reclamations can be found just southeast of the Great Market, and they specialize in recovering magic items, gems, and other goods that have been lost or stolen. The Mages Guild Hall can also be found in Middle City. This is a large tower where spellcasters meet in a loose federation of sorts, providing hard-to-find spell components and other arcane artifacts. Low City makes up the leftmost portion of the Rock of Bral, and the Low City is also the most crowded portion of Bral, with many visitors getting what they need here and then leaving as quickly as they arrived. The docks is where most Spelljammer ships will, well, dock, and as such are equipped with hoists used to transport cargo to and from those ships. As with the High City and the Middle City, the Low City also has a tavern. This one is called the Happy Beholder and is run by Large Luigi, a beholder of lawful neutral alignment. His tavern is rarely troubled by the ruffians that visit the Rock of Bral because, well, would you attempt to take on someone that can see in all directions at once and can shoot I-beams at you. One of the more recent establishments on the rock is the Merkine Agency. They found a seemingly abandoned building just a small jaunt from the docks and set up shop, acting as a go-between between those who need something and those who can get those somethings. There's also a lesser market here in the Low City that is quite a bit shabbier, with stalls thrown together with broken bits of wood. It would be in the lesser market that one could possibly find items of a more sinister nature. On the flip side of the map is what the inhabitants of the Rock of Bral refers to as the Underside. Prince Andrew also oversees this section, and it is here that the rock's navy is housed, but it is also where fruits, vegetables, and other forms of nourishment are harvested. There is also a prisoner barracks that houses convicts that have gone against what little order does exist on the rock and are sent to the fields to tend and gather crops. Massive sails called vanes extend out from the underside, and these are used to steer the asteroid to a specific location if required. In the opening of this video, I mentioned that I was wondering something. I'm curious if this is where the Dungeons & Dragons game is headed. We know that Wizards has hinted at a 5.5 edition or 6th edition. We aren't really sure exactly what they're going to call it, but I've noticed in other books, Radiant Citadel is one of the more recent ones I've noticed this in, but there is a lack of highly detailed information found within these books, and really little about the Rock of Bral itself, beyond the very basics. I mean, we've got 6 pages of information, that's it. I mean, a specific example location found in the High City, the Royal Theatre Company. It reads, "The Royal Theatre Company has been in operation for over 60 years. The company's lavish stage productions often feature magical illusions and pyrotechnical special effects." And that's it. That's all it says about an establishment that's been around for 60 years. Now, I understand that they can only produce so much information. I get that, but a little more information would be nice to see. However, and I suspect this is close to what we're going to see with Dungeons & Dragons, it's always been a game of imagination. It really is a Dungeon Masters game, meaning that they are free to craft and create whatever is needed. This goes all the way back to the game's beginning, and I can't help but point out that in previous editions, attempts were made to over-detail many aspects, and that saw a lot of complaints. I just wonder if this is where D&D is heading, providing the bare-bones structure and thus the freedom and flexibility to the Dungeon Master to flesh it out as they see fit, so that it will fit into their own homebrewed campaign universe. I talked about this very subject a bit ago, detailing what some saw as a major concern, and if you'd like to see that, check out this video. The Rock of Bral is a pretty neat place, full of mystery, and can certainly be used as a jumping point for all kinds of adventure. What do you think of the Rock of Bral? Let me know in the comments below, and until next our paths cross, may you not end up working in the fields in the Underside.